everywhere. GBS.
Good afternoon. It's 1 p.m. here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, and this is The Ambassador. With me, your ambassador, Paul Mathenge. This is where we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. Now to our first story. M23 rebels, reportedly backed by Rwanda, have advanced further into the eastern Congo, reaching the outskirts of Walikale. Despite recent calls for an immediate ceasefire, fighting remains intense, with clashes erupting between the rebels and the Congolese forces. Let's take a listen.
Rwanda-backed M23 rebels pushed further into the eastern Congo, advancing into the outskirts of Walikale, just days after the presidents of Congo and Rwanda called for an immediate ceasefire. This escalation followed a surprise attack on a Congolese army position near town, leading to clashes between the rebels, Congolese soldiers and local militias. Walikale, a small town with a population of around 1,500 located in mineral-rich region, marks the farthest westward point the M23 rebels have reached in their rapid offensive this year. The attack occurred just a day after the two presidents met in Qatar and called for an immediate ceasefire to ease tensions in the volatile region. The ongoing violence in eastern Congo, one of the world's worst humanitarian crises, has forced over 7 million people to flee their homes. The M23 rebels, supported by approximately 4,000 Rwandan troops, have shown intentions of advancing further, even threatening to march towards Congo's capital Kinshasa, more than 1,000 kilometers away. Despite the peace talks, the situation remains tense with no immediate resolutions in sight. Triza Chengo, GBS News.
6 people have been confirmed dead and up to 40 others are missing after a rubber DG sank in the central Mediterranean. 10 survivors have been rescued and brought to Italy's Lampedusa island for care. And as United Nations Refugee Agency urges countries to take strong action to improve search and rescue efforts and create safer migration routes.
The Italian Coast Guard has recovered 6 bodies and is searching for up to 40 missing migrants after a rubber dinghy sank in the central Mediterranean. The boat, which was carrying migrants from Cameroon, Ivory Coast, Guinea and Mali, had left Tunisia with 56 people on board, but it started to deflate hours later. 10 survivors, including 4 women, were rescued and brought to Lampedusa Island, where they were receiving care. The UN Refugee Agency has called for stronger international efforts to improve search and rescue mechanisms at the sea.
UNHCR is assisting right now the survivors, but UNHCR urges states to join forces to strengthen search and rescue mechanisms at sea and promote wider access to safe and regular channels in the European Union.
This year alone, nearly 9,000 migrants have arrived in Italy, marking a 4% increase compared to the same period last year. Triza Tiengo, GBS News.
Tensions remain high in Buenos Aires as Argentine pensioners and football fans stage a new protest today against austerity measures under President Javier Milei's government. The demonstrations follow last week's violent clashes outside Congress, where retirees and soccer supporters demanded improved pensions and medical benefits amid soaring inflation. Security forces deployed water cannons, tear gas, and rubber bullets during the March 12 protest, injuring over 600 people, including 87-year-old pensioner beaten by police and arresting 114. A judge later ordered the release of most detainees, citing unconstitutional detentions. This week, mobilization continues the weekly rallies by retirees who claim pensions cuts since Milei's 2023 inauguration have left them unable to afford basic needs. Football fans from a rival club like Boca Juniors and Racing have joined forces with the elderly and coaching chants the government, led by Security Minister Patricia Bullrich, and has accused protest leaders of a sedition and illicit association, targeting figures like soccer fan group leader Ledro Capriti and former Montoneros leader Mario Firmenich. Critics argue the repressions aims to silence dissent against Milei's neoliberal policies, which prioritize deficit reduction over social welfare. The ambassador will take a short break. We'll be right back with more as we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics.
Hello everyone! Welcome to Fun. And the hyenas were there. They wanted to snatch the baby and tear that baby in pieces and eat.
Today, we're going to make a cactus in a pot. Hey, you, cold on. Are you biting your thumb at me?
I love my mommy. I love my mommy. Yes, I do.
Are you going to show love to your friend? Sure, you are going to do that. Friends, until next time, bye!
A student can transition from other curriculums, such as the Kenyan CBC curriculum, the Pearson Edexcel curriculum, and the IB curriculum, to the Cambridge curriculum.
And the question of the day is, can you survive without internet?
Ngumu plus kuachilia hizo story tu zote zikupite ni ngori.
Niwaambie ukweli. Like hii ni kama kuambia mtu mwenye alikuwa amezoea kushindana nguo, mwambie toa nguo ushinde uchi. Hiyo huku atriki kwa sababu sasa like ilikuwa imekuingia kwa kichwa kabisa.
Mimi nimesomea day school na niocha. So kukuwa na simu hadi ni ile katururu, si smartphone, ni ile katururu.
Sasa unaweza kaa holi ya bila simu.
Kuspend hii most of the time kwa simu. Also you need to run skills. So nilipatana na later hapa nikakuwa player huko. And then I started learning skills. Digital skills.
Yes, hadi siku mbili haiwezi.
Kwa wiki naachilia hata kama ni siku mbili ama sometimes na extend tu wiki nzima. Napata shiki simu yangu.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the ambassador, and now the Imara indigenous group marched in La Paz, Bolivia, to protest severe shortages of United States dollars and fuel, a crisis that has gripped the nation since 2023. Wearing their tradition red ponchos and black hats. The demonstrators gathered at Plaza Muriros near the presidential palace, which was heavily guarded by riot police. The Imaras delivered a list of demands of government officials urging immediate action to address the country's economic instability. Bolivia's dwindling international severs have harmed its ability to import subsidized fuel, exacerbating domestic hardships. The march highlights growing discontent with President Luis E's administration as Bolivia struggles with an economic crisis rooted in a lack of foreign currency. This protest is part of a broader wave of mobilizations by indigenous groups which have long played a pivotal role in Bolivian politics. The Imaras' demands and the mounting to pressure on the government to find solutions to both economic and social grievances. Let's take a listen. And now on updates on Haiti. In Haiti's capital Port-au-Prince, residents have taken to the street to protest escalating gang violence, calling for urgent protection from armed groups who have taken control of much of the city. The demonstration, which aimed to reach the Prime Minister's office, met with resistance from police who fired tear gas at the protesters. Meanwhile, the country faces further challenges as a new wave of deportees lands in Haiti, including convicted felons from the United States. Now, on another story, we will bring us an update on this story on European. The European Union is set to reduce steel imports by 15% starting in April to prevent a surge of cheap steel into the market. This comes after new United States tariffs which could divert steel into Europe, raising concerns among struggling steel makers with high energy costs and competition from Asia. Industry leaders warn that uncontrolled inflow could lead to factory closures. The EU Commission is now planning new trade measures to support metal producers, including those in the aluminium sector.
The European Union will tighten steel import quotas by 15% from April, a move aimed at shielding the bloc's struggling steel industry from a surge in cheap imports. The decision comes in response to new tariffs imposed by the United States, which have led to concerns that excess steel could be redirected to European markets. European steel makers, already burdened by soaring energy costs and increasing competition from Asia and beyond, have warned that without intervention, the EU could become a dumping ground for cheap steel originally intended for the US markets. Industry leaders argue that such a scenario could severely impact European steel plants, leading to potential closures and job losses.
There will be no country without steel, and so there is no collective organization and industry of chemistry or defense without steel, and so steel is becoming a strategic sector for us that must be defended. We will try with our tools, and I think it is reasonable for the European Commission to follow international rules. I think if there's a need today to have an actor in the world who gives predictability, who respects the international law, who is able to have rule of law, in short, to have a regulatory environment that is predictable, it is the European Union.
CEO of Europe's second largest steel maker underscored the urgency of the situation, noting that US imported approximately 23 million metric tons of steel last year. The Commission is also expected to consult with aluminium producers who faces similar pressures from global market shifts. Vivian Scalabo, GBS News.
Now, the International Olympic Committee, IOC, is holding a presidential election today, with 7 candidates aiming to replace Thomas Bach. 3 front-runners dominate: Sebastian, advocating for reform and structure transgender policies; Kiste Coventry, seen as a continuity candidate with ties to Bach, but facing human rights concerns; and Juan Antonio, facing security over potential Chinese delegate influence. Other candidates include Johan Eliach, Morinari Watanabe, David Lapatriate, and Fisher Hussein. The election is taking place amidst calls for transparency in the IOC's voting process. Geopolitical tensions related to 2028 Los Angeles Olympics and debates over modernization, including sustainability and athlete empowerment. Sebastian calls $50,000 gold medal bonus proposal has caused controversy, while Kiste Coventry emphasizes anti-corruption with $7 billion in Olympic revenue. The new president will need to balance tradition and innovation. Multiple voting routes are possible.
Inclusion, I think, is very, very critical, but the most important for me is integrity. We have to rebuild the trust. We have to rebuild, as a global institution, people's belief in what we're doing.
It is big because what it stands for is bigger than anything else that I've ever known. Bigger than any religion, bigger than any other organization.
I admire you guys very much for the capacity sometimes some of the media to predict what the result will be.
The Palestinian representative to the Arab League on Wednesday called for sanctions against Israel in response to recent Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip that have killed hundreds of people. Israel launched heavy airstrikes across the Gaza Strip early Tuesday that killed more than 430 Palestinians, local health officials said, shattering a ceasefire in place since January as it evolved to force Hamas to release more hostages and control of the territory. Let's take a listen.
The Palestinian representative to the Arab League on Wednesday called for sanctions against Israel following a series of airstrikes on the Gaza Strip that killed over 430 people, including 183 children. During an Arab League sessions in Cairo, Palestinian permanent representative Mohanad Akluk said that specific measures, including economic and political sanctions, could be taken to prevent Israel offenses and expansion plans meant to displace Palestinians.
The Council of the Arab League States also discussed the importance of implementing the resolution of the Arab Summit and implementing the decisions of the Council of the ministerial level by boycotting Israel, by imposing sanctions on Israel, as well as by prosecuting it within the framework of international justice and international jurisdiction.
ACLUC condemned the killings of more than 430 innocent martyrs, 130 of whom were children under the age of 10, and called upon the international community to freeze Israel's participation in the United Nations General Assembly. The strike since the early hours Tuesday killed 436 people, including 183 children and 94 women, according to Gaza's health ministry. The ministry said another 678 people had been wounded in the strikes, which continued into Wednesday but at a lower intensity. The military says it only strikes militants and blames civilians' death on Hamas because it operates in densely populated areas. Paris Kigo, GPS News.
And that's all for today with me, your Ambassador Paul Madenge, on the Ambassador 1 p.m. Follow all of our stories at GBS TV is updated all the day. We meet every Thursday and Friday as we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. Thank you for your time and company.